Hey, this is Phil Kammer, and this is Counter Agenda. And this is my video number 2, and I appreciate you taking the time to come out and watch this newest video. On my last video, or rather my first video, I had hinted at the subject that I'm going to be bringing up this time. And that subject is the Ukraine. And I decided to do this because Ukraine is once again in the news. And it seems that their counteroffensive against Vladimir Putin, against Russia, is starting to kick off. So I wanted to address a few issues to those individuals who are struggling with the idea of funding Ukraine or providing them weapons. I know it is a hot topic. I know this, all right? And I know a lot of your arguments. And I just wanted to make this video and kind of give you guys an idea of where I stand and why I stand where I stand. All right, so no further ado, a little bit of history. Russia has always believed that the Ukrainian Crimea area belongs to them. And they have spent millions of dollars in propaganda money to convince their population of this. When the truth of the matter is that the land has been fought over countless numbers of times. It has switched hands from them to others. Some of the most recent are the Ottoman Empire, where Russia took it from the Ottomans. France didn't like the idea that the Ottomans had lost it to Russia, so France and the Ottomans took it back, and it went back and forth. The Germans owned it for a brief time, and then finally, you know, in the 80s and the 90s, Ukraine as a single entity became owners of their own country. And now Russia will completely disagree with that. So without getting into too much of the weeds, I wanted to kind of give you a background of what had been happening in this part of the world, this breadbasket of Eastern Europe and Central Europe in many ways, and in many ways the world. So it brings us to, you know, the modern days. And the last election in the United States, the Obama election. And this tug of war between Russia, Vladimir Putin, Obama, Hillary Clinton, Vice President Joe Biden, elements of the CIA, various NGOs, and basically East-West tug of war. And so what happened was the West did not want Russia to ever get a hold of Ukraine again. So they started, just as Russia started, there's no one innocent in this party. It's very important for everyone to understand. Russia was fighting secretly by paying off politicians, creating propaganda videos, and sowing subterfuge, just as well as the United States was. The United States probably had more money in this, I think. They were pouring in millions of dollars into NGOs to try to shift the culture of Ukraine west. And it hit it hit a loggerhead, and presidents were ousted. Violence was committed, men died, and eventually there was this great independence for Ukraine, right? I think most of the world remembers watching that on the TV. But what happened was Putin was not going to stand for that. He wasn't. If you look in Crimea, you know, their naval port was there, their naval ships were there. What was Putin going to do, right? What was he going to do? People were more than likely on his shoulders saying, hey, look, this can't happen. And so he was almost forced into a situation where he had to create his special military actions, right? And he took Crimea, and it caused, you know, problems in the world, right? Ukraine didn't know how to react. Their military was, half of it was pro-Ukrainian, half of it was pro-Russian. And so what happened was this war broke out. And, you know, do I blame anyone? I personally blame both parties, but you've got to understand, as Americans, we had our nose in there. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden had, I believe, personal interests in the Ukraine, especially the Bidens and Hillary, and John Kerry had his nose in there as well. There are elements of the CIA, and who else was in there? Who knows? We don't know all the parties because it's very clouded. So I kind of blame this war on both parties, but mostly on the West, because I believe they pushed too hard to force Ukraine to the West. I believe that they would eventually came to the West, but not so fast, right? And I believe that is what created the situation where Russia felt like he was obliged to do the actions that he did, all right? Some people would disagree with me. I don't care. This is my opinion, right? And so what happens now is we are in a situation where we have two parties that are really guilty, you know, the West, the United States, and Vladimir Putin, right? They're both guilty, but in the middle of this, there are civilians, right? There are Ukrainians, and right now there are Russians, because there are now conflicts that are going into the Russian border now, killing civilians. So my concern is that we in the West have created a situation that did not need to happen. If we would have waited some more time, if we would have negotiated, if we would have nurtured the state of Ukraine not so quickly to move west, I don't believe this war would have happened. Now, a lot of people would disagree. There's a lot of propaganda out there from the West that states that Vladimir Putin's goal is not only to take the Ukraine, but to take Poland and Hungary and Romania. I think that's a lie. I think it's complete propaganda. I see no evidence to that at all. But the West, a lot of the people in the West are convinced of it, but I don't believe it was ever true. I think Russia just wanted to take parts of Ukraine and possibly the Transnistria area. And well, I mean, that's bad enough, right? And there's no real but to it. You know, it's still a criminal action. And he was wrong for doing it in the first place. Anyway, the whole crux of this video is to help you understand that it's not in supporting Obama, it's not in supporting Joe Biden that my idea is that it's important to fund this fight, right? Because I don't like those people, right? I believe that they're all criminals. I really do. I think they were thugs and they went in, they shouldn't have done this. I think they stuck their noses in the places that they shouldn't so quickly, right? And it brought about a war. So my question to you is, if we've got two parties who are evil and they create this conflict, and the people in the middle, the civilians, are dying en masse, and one of the parties was our own President of the United States, and then now a new President of the United States, Joe Biden, who seems to be the greatest cheerleader for going into Ukraine. If they were the ones that instituted this mess, created this mess, even though we do not like them and do not support them, is it not the responsibility of the United States to clean up their mess? That's where I'm sitting. I struggle with the fact that because we didn't elect the right people, that they went out and they caused mayhem in the Eastern Europe, causing great and significant death. And we want to sit back as conservatives and say, no, we have no business being out there in Ukraine. We shouldn't be there supporting them. We shouldn't be there helping them defend themselves against Russia. When it was our own president, our own elements of CIA and other security agencies that actually assisted in causing this. I believe honestly that we're probably 60 to 70% to blame for what happened. I watched how Donald Trump dealt with the issue. I think President Donald Trump could have probably negotiated some sort of peace here in this. Should Russia get some land? I don't know. There are significant swaths of land that are just Russia in the Ukraine. So what do you do with those people? There had to be some sort of negotiation here, and I think peace was the better option. But now we're not in peace, are we? We're in war. So I would hope that those who are just out there and adamant saying that, look, we should not be funding them, I hope that you'd understand that that's just the wrong stance. Even though you didn't create the situation, you did it in a way because we ended up voting for some really bad presidents who did some really bad things. All right? And it's our responsibility sometimes as the citizenry to fix what our presidents have done. And I know some might disagree with that, but I don't. So that is my reasoning, and that's why I wanted to bring up this video at this point where Ukraine is trying to defend their land. Other than that, I hope you're not upset with me. I don't know what kind of comments I'll get on this. Please do comment. It's important. I'd like to know what you think on this. Moving forward, I don't know. I hope Ukraine can remove Russia. I'm not quite sure they can do it completely because there's something that's really weighing really heavily over this whole conflict, and it's a nuclear conflict. I don't want to bring up what I think Putin could do because I'm, to be honest, frightened of it. But I think it is on the table. As a matter of fact, I think we are closer to a nuclear war today than we were during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And you won't hear that in the media, but I truly believe it. Putin is getting old. He's like a wounded animal who has an arsenal of nuclear warheads, and people don't seem to understand that. Ukraine is about to go in and crush Russia. What's that going to do to Putin? So I don't know how this all turns out. So otherwise, thank you for coming and watching this new video. I really do appreciate it. I know it takes some time out of your day, and let me know what you think about the video. Show me or tell me what your opinions are on this. This is really an important issue. And other than that, I really do wish that you have a great day. Be blessed. Go out and do something great for someone this week. And most of all, don't fear. Don't fear. In this whole mess, there's so many people that are frightened and they're struggling with all these wars and these issues going around. Don't fear. If you love the Lord, there's no reason to fear. And other than that, have a wonderful week. Fill out.